Family reunion. They booked me economy room. I own the entire resort chain. In my family, reunions were never really about reconnecting. They were about status. Every year someone would show up with a newer car, a bigger job title, or stories about expensive vacations. And every year, the same quiet competition would begin. Unfortunately, according to my relatives, I had always been at the bottom of that list. 10 years ago, I left our hometown with nothing but a suitcase and a risky idea. I wanted to start a hospitality business. Not something huge, just a small hotel, if I could manage it. When I told my family about it during a dinner one night, they laughed. Hotels, my uncle said with a grin. You can barely afford rent. My cousin Melissa joked that maybe I should start by cleaning hotel rooms before trying to own one. Everyone at the table laughed. That night, I realized something important. My family had already decided who they thought I was going to be. So I stopped explaining my plans to them. While my cousins posted photos of promotions, luxury cars, and fancy offices online, I spent the next decade working nonstop. I bought struggling hotels nobody else wanted. I renovated old properties. I hired good managers and slowly built something real. The first hotel barely survived. The second one did better. By the time we opened our fourth property, the company finally started growing. Eventually, that small idea turned into a hospitality group with resorts and hotels across several cities. But my family never really asked what happened after I left. To them, I was still the cousin who dropped out of college and disappeared. So when Melissa announced a big family reunion weekend at a luxury beach resort, everyone in the family group chat got excited. 3 days at a 5-star resort. This is going to be amazing. Melissa sent a document with everyone's room assignments. Out of curiosity, I opened it. The moment I saw the name of the resort, I smiled. It was one of ours. 3 years earlier, my company had purchased that exact property and turned it into one of our best locations. But I didn't say anything. Instead, I scrolled down the list of room assignments. Most of my cousins had ocean view suites. Melissa and her husband had booked the presidential villa. Then I saw my name at the bottom. Economy room, basement level. No view. I stared at the screen for a moment, then laughed quietly. Some things never change. Apparently, even at a luxury resort, I was still the family member who deserved the cheapest room in the building. A week later, I arrived at the resort. The building stood right along the coastline, its glass walls reflecting the sunlight off the ocean. Tall palm trees lined the entrance, and a massive fountain welcomed guests in the circular driveway. It had taken almost 2 years to renovate the property after my company bought it. I had personally overseen most of the upgrades. New restaurants, luxury suites, a redesigned lobby. Seeing it full of guests always gave me a quiet sense of pride. But today, I wasn't arriving as the owner. I was arriving as the cousin who got the economy room. When I walked into the lobby, my entire family was already gathered near the front desk. Melissa spotted me first. "Well, look who finally showed up," she said with a small smirk. My aunt handed me a white envelope. "Here's your room key," she said casually. I opened it. Economy room, basement level. A few cousins standing nearby chuckled. The good rooms were already taken, Melissa said with a fake apologetic smile. "You know how it is." "Of course," I replied calmly. She leaned closer. "Besides, the suites are really meant for the people who paid for the reunion." I almost laughed. In reality, the family had booked the entire event through a group reservation system run by my own company. Technically, they were guests in my building, but I didn't say anything. Instead, I slipped the key card back into the envelope. Before anyone could continue the conversation, the front desk manager suddenly looked up from his computer. His eyes widened slightly. Then he quickly stepped out from behind the desk and walked toward me. "Sir," he said respectfully, "welcome back." My cousin stopped laughing. Melissa frowned. "Wait, you know him?" The manager nodded politely. "Yes, we've met several times during company visits." My uncle stepped forward, clearly confused. "Company visits?" Melissa crossed her arms. "Oh, please," she said. "He probably stayed here once and now thinks he's important." But the manager shook his head. "No, ma'am." He hesitated for a moment, clearly unsure how much he should say. Then he looked at me. "Sir, would you like me to prepare the owner's penthouse suite for your stay?" The words seemed to freeze the entire room. Melissa blinked. "The what?" The manager spoke calmly. "The owner's penthouse. It's reserved whenever the owner visits the property." My uncle frowned. "Owner?" The manager gestured slightly toward me. "This resort is part of the hospitality group he founded." Silence. Complete silence. For a few seconds, it looked like nobody in my family even knew how to react. Melissa stared at me. "That's not funny," she said. I shrugged lightly. It wasn't meant to be a joke. Jason, one of my cousins, stepped forward. "Wait a second," he said. "You're telling us you own this place?" "Part of a larger chain," I said calmly. My aunt laughed nervously. "Okay, very funny. What's really going on?" The manager pulled up something on the computer and turned the screen slightly. The resort's ownership information appeared clearly. Right at the top was the name of the company I had built, and directly under it, my name. Melissa leaned forward to look at the screen. Her face slowly lost its color. "You're serious?" she whispered. I nodded. "For about 10 years now." My uncle rubbed his forehead. "You mean all those hotels we see online, that's your company?" "Most of them," I said. Behind us, a few hotel staff members had started watching quietly, sensing something unusual happening in the lobby. Melissa slowly looked down at the envelope still in her hand. The envelope containing the key to my economy basement room. She cleared her throat awkwardly. "Well, if we had known." I raised an eyebrow. "If you had known what?" "That you were successful." I smiled slightly. "That seems to matter a lot in this family." The manager spoke again. "Sir, should I cancel the economy room and move you to the presidential villa?" Melissa's head snapped up immediately. "That's our room," she said quickly. The manager looked uncomfortable. "Technically, the presidential villa is prioritized for ownership if requested." The entire group turned toward me. My uncle shifted nervously. "Well, surely you wouldn't take it from us." Melissa tried to laugh. "Yeah, come on. We're family." I looked around the lobby. The same people who had laughed when they handed me the cheapest room in the building. Then I looked back at the manager. "Well," I said slowly, looking at the manager, "technically, the villa does belong to the owner." Melissa's face tightened instantly. "You're not serious," she said nervously. My uncle quickly added, "Come on, we already unpacked." The entire family stood there waiting for my decision. For a moment, I let the silence stretch. Then I smiled. "Relax," I said calmly. "You can keep the presidential villa." Melissa let out a breath of relief. "But," I added, turning back to the manager, "please prepare the owner's penthouse suite instead." The manager nodded respectfully. "Of course, sir." My cousins exchanged stunned looks. "The penthouse?" my aunt asked quietly. "Yes," the manager replied. "It occupies the entire top floor and is reserved for the owner." The lobby fell silent again, because the cousin they thought deserved the basement economy room was actually the one who owned the entire resort chain.